Hi, warriors. This is Jalen, my legal warrior, and today we have Ivan Lovegren. He is a financial advisor. Ivan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been in practice, and also how can our viewership get a hold of you after our interview today?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jalen, for having me. And hello, warriors. First off, applause to you for coming online and educating yourself on the divorce process. That's really a great first step, is just taking some action. As Jalen mentioned, I'm a financial advisor. My designation is CDFA, Certified Divorced Financial Analyst. And what that means is that I actually have a certification in helping people go through divorce, take all of the little pieces of their financial puzzle and put them together and actually see what their future looks like. You can reach me at my first initial last name, I Lovegren, Lovegren, at financialguide.com, guide, Guide. So that's where you can reach me. You can also find me online on LinkedIn, Facebook, vestadivorce.com.
So, one of the things that I did want to talk about, things that are going on obviously through COVID-19, and what are the common questions that individuals and or small business owners are coming to you with during this time?
Well, it's definitely shifted the landscape. I know you as a lawyer are having to deal with the courts. They're just not open. And a lot of courts in different counties are trying to figure out e-filing and ways to move forward. We're also seeing that the average judge age is on the higher side. So even when we reopen, we're concerned about what the timeline will be, how many cases can be seen in a day. So a lot of people are saying, well, can I even do anything right now? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can be doing stuff right now, because I know one of the reasons you have this podcast and these videos is people's idea of the process is these epic days in court and telling everybody how misused they were and getting their righteousness. And that's not the divorce process. The divorce process is a business transaction that involves accounting, it involves legal filing, it involves some negotiation, some debate, but I'd say 80% of the process is behind the scenes, organization and preparation. So all the things that you should have been doing before a divorce previously are now highlighted in the fact that, yeah, the courts aren't open, but you can literally create your entire divorce plan right now outside of the courts and be ready to go. And it's going to save you money in the long run.
And then have you had individuals that have been, telling you, okay, like I have some sort of financial crisis right now and I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there's these, like I think it's the CARES Act, they're offering like the PPP loans and the EIDL. Or is these conversations, do you have those conversations with potential individuals that you come across when they're trying to go through their financial advisement with you?
Yeah, definitely. One of the biggest challenges is many of us right now don't know what the future holds. And that could be, I don't know if I'm getting a paycheck next week. I don't know if I'm going to lose my job because I'm at XYZ corporation and we've seen in the news what's going on in that industry. So everybody's case is a little unique. One case was, I know I'm going to have to buy my spouse out. Should I refi now? Because I may lose my job in 3 weeks. Well, that's something that we really should talk about and look at your specific situation. Another example you brought up was the CARES Act. Can I use that to provide some liquidity in the short term? And the answer generally is yes. However, it's also something where you need to be transparent. If you're using those assets that are technically community property, you need to be very transparent. And this is why, especially in this time of heightened stress, communication is key. If there's any way to back the X down into a communicable state and have a real honest conversation, which is oftentimes where a financial neutral makes an empowering difference, because we're not vested one way or the other. We're there saying, here are the facts. This is the only way for your spouse to survive so they can split those assets down the line. that's going to be really powerful. So there are some strategies in there that people are having to deal with and use. The third one that's a little less common because it only applies to business owners. However, if you're a business owner, it's top of mind, is the PPP loan, which also has a component, the EIDL component. And one spouse in a contentious divorce that I was working with said, well, if I get that loan for my very successful business that's having all these challenges right now, is that part of the settlement now? And while there isn't exact guidance yet, and you should always consult with your tax professional and your legal professional, the intent, the way that the loans were written was these are designed to help a business continue to operate. So on the surface, there should not be a direct correlation between I just got a $100,000 PPP loan, is my settlement now $50,000 higher? Because of the fact that that money is earmarked to keep the business running, to pay your employees, to pay the rent. It's not a slush fund to the individual. That being said, keep in mind, if you are one of the employees, well, that PPP loan should help you maintain child support if you're paying it. It should help you, maintain your income, and the portion of that that comes in as income could be viewed as community income if you have not yet filed.
Okay. And what is the difference between a PPP and an EIDL?
The main difference is that the EIDL was designed as an advance on a PPP loan because they knew that the SBA loan process was going to be complicated and take some time. They have slightly different forgiveness triggers and mechanisms. I believe the EIDL is not forgivable, but you could pay it back from the PPP. So at the end of the day, the main thing with those are each talk to your tax professional who knows your situation really well and make sure. But the difference between them isn't too vast for divorce purposes. And as a business owner at this point, you're probably looking at either you did it and got it or you didn't. So you should know which of those boats you're in.
Right. Yeah. Earlier you had, highlighted the parents or maybe the parties are thinking that because their spouse potentially or actually did receive a PPP or EIDL that they are entitled to some portion of it. And you're absolutely right. There is no guidance on that at all. And so it kind of highlights the fact of how you need to have a financial advisor in your corner so that they ensure that those funds are, in fact, like you stated, earmarked for the specific purpose. Because if there is forgivable aspect to that loan, and then you are somehow telling the other person, hey, you can go ahead and have half of it, or somehow you guys negotiated that, you're still going to be on the hook for that loan, and it's not going to be forgiven. And I guess it's not exactly strategic to use it as a negotiation piece. So that's a very good point.
Very rarely can I say this 100%. It should not be a negotiation piece. It should not be a liquidity to the spouse in this, because if you want the benefit, it has to be spent on very specific things that the SBA has outlined. And the idea behind the loan, it's a loan. It's not a grant. It's not a relief check. It is a loan. So really, if you're trying to fight for half of it, you're fighting for half of a debt, which is silly. So,
yeah. And I mean, when it goes back to child support and spousal support and recipients, maybe the employees that are recipients of the PPP loan from their employer, typically, from my understanding, is that it's probably not even enough to cover their child or spouse support obligation. And so there's that issue that they're having to kind of combat through mediation or just trying to again negotiate or settle during the court closure. So I'm really curious to see how things will eventually play out in terms of the receipt of these loans and how they're going to be forgiven, and the arguments that parents will be making in court when they're talking about these loans. So,
approach coronavirus specific things with the idea of, wow, I really do need to be respectful, or else I'm just going to dig myself a bigger hole.
mhm.
It's part of the inconvenience we're all facing right now. I pulled my kids out of a preschool that was small enough numbers that technically they could have continued to go to, but I bore that inconvenience because I wanted to make sure that essential workers that had to bring their kids somewhere had it. We all got to make a little concession. Don't try to go after a PPP loan that's supposed to keep your spouse's business operating so that you can get the settlement on the other side of all of this.
And potentially reduce your child support or spouse support obligation as well.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
in business, you're not having to pay more
yeah,
child support or spouse support. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Well,
there's a thing we talk about, which is the price of peace. And it's like,
right.
you don't need every nickel and dime. If you work with an expert like Jalen, have you ever compromised on what's fair and equitable for your clients?
Of course not.
No. Yeah. At the same time, we say like, look, I'm going to cost this much more to get you through another 8 weeks of arguing this. Let it go. Price of peace.
Yeah.
Move on with your new you, because that's what the goal of this should be. I want to get out of it. I want to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. New you.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, Ivan, for joining us today. And we hope that you are staying safe, warriors, and that you guys enjoy the rest of your week. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.